Yes, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Welcome back to Football Heritage TV, and just a 60-minute question and answer session today because there's a little game going on in North London today where Tottenham simply have to win if we want any chance of European football via the Premier League. If we lose this today, we're going to be, I believe it's going to be 10 to 11 points off the top of the European places with 11 games left to go. And that's a huge ask with some massive away games. But still, I know you've not been very well, but other than that, is life okay?
Just about. I don't know what's going on with me. I'm falling apart at the moment. So we'll battle through the next 50, 60 minutes. And then like an idiot, I've decided to go live after this. So I don't even know if I'm going to be alive for it. But yeah, otherwise, Savva, we're good. We're good.
That's what we do. We're YouTubers. By the way, so yeah, after this, I will be redirecting you straight to my own show. I mean, it's quite narcissistic, but straight after this, I've got a live watch along. Iggy's going to join me for the first hour. I'm utilizing all of my Tottenham away allies tonight for different streams. He'll be with me between 6 and 7, and then we'll nearly be at kickoff time. Get your questions in. There's 5 or 6. Let's get some questions in. We're going to try and rattle through them as quickly as we can tonight. But please smash the like, subscribe to everyone. And thank you, everybody, for your views today on my video about Romero. Seems to have gone down pretty well on my second channel. So thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. Still, just quickly before we get to the questions, Man City at home. It's a really odd time to be playing Man City. I know people keep saying it's a great time to play them, but I watched them against Liverpool. I'm sure you watched Liverpool City. I actually thought City played very well, but just without the punch up front. Good time to play them, or are they due to give somebody a hiding? How do you see tonight's game?
Yeah, I agree with you. I thought City actually played really well against Liverpool. The wonderful thing about Arne Slot is he adapts to the teams he plays. No, Liverpool don't have a style of play. Under Klopp, you knew how they were going to play: intensive press, aggressive in the final third. They bullied that midfield, and they very quickly got the ball forward. And then they had 3 or 4 killers across the front line that tore teams to pieces. Whereas you look at them now, they're just a very well-balanced, controlled machine. They can be high press, aggressive. They can be low block, defensive counter-attack. They can just be composed, slowly build up the play. They can attack down the flanks. They can attack down the middle. They're just very, very dynamic in terms of how they play. And this is why I wanted Slot at Spurs. I was on We Are Tottenham TV a year and a half ago, and I said to them, guys, this is the guy I want at Spurs, and I explained why. Okay, whatever. And I thought City actually did very well against Liverpool. I do. I think not having Haaland on the pitch was a game changer on the day. Mamouche scored a really good goal. They cut through Liverpool, but it was offside by about a yard, I think.
Yeah.
So, Man City aren't rubbish. They're a good team. They're not quite there this season, but they're still a really good team. They're top 4 for a reason. Imagine they've had the worst season in 15 odd years, and they're 4th. So let's not write them off. But today's game, I think if Haaland starts, I think they just beat us. But I think if he doesn't start, I think we will just beat them. I don't think this is a draw. There's a winner in this by 1 goal. It'll be Spurs 2-1 or City 2-1, depending on starting lineups. Look, you've got to make Spurs the favourites only because 1, we're at home, and 2, we are their bogey team. What anyone says, we just seem to have their number. I don't know what it is about us, but I think we will be the favourites. But if Haaland starts, I think City will just beat us on this day. That's how I feel. I could be massively wrong. This tie is so hard to predict.
It really. Do you know what? All I said this morning on this morning's show was goals. Tonight's game just screams goals. You've got 2 teams that are quite wide open at the moment. This isn't the City that we've all known and enjoyed watching for the last however many years. But what I did see against Liverpool was they put loads of balls into the box where all these people that say to me Haaland doesn't do anything still other than score goals, what you have noticed, since they haven't got Haaland, they've got no one pulling centre-halves out. They've got nobody bullying centre-halves. And Van Dijk and Konate won everything in the air. So, listen, I think it's going to be interesting. I've gone for 3-3. I think this is going to be just going to be a ridiculously high-scoring game with 2 all-out attacking tactics. But we'll see.
Savva, do you know one other thing, right? Against Ipswich, the first 15 minutes, we were getting torn to pieces. And if City come at us like that and they get into us, they are going to score goals in the first 15. If that happens, if that's how it starts, because Ipswich, other than Delap, what have they got?
I completely agree. Listen, I think the last thing I'll say on this before we get to the questions, we know City are going to have the football. That for me isn't even a debate. City will manipulate the football. They will have 60% possession, 65%, and it's going to be about, can we counter them? For me, it's about limiting those gaps, because what Liverpool did so brilliantly on Sunday was they realised that City don't shoot. City want to score the perfect goal. They want to play it through you, and Liverpool plugged those gaps. One thing we're not very good at, right? We're not very good at plugging gaps. We almost invite people through them. So let's get to some questions. There's quite a few here, so we'll get going and see where it leads. But we've got 50 minutes to go. Where are we? Let's have a look at the first question. Is Marios has said, would you take Spurs winning the Europa League if it meant Arsenal would win 2 league titles in a row? That's an interesting one, isn't it?
I hate these questions.
Yeah, what ifs? Yeah.
I think I would. I'm so desperate to see Spurs win silverware. And do you know what? The Europa Cup, it's not what they call a Mickey Mouse trophy. I think nowadays the Europa Cup is a serious trophy again. It is the old UEFA. So, yeah, look, gets us back into the champ. Yeah, look, I would. It's a trophy. I have to say yes. I've been banging on about trophies must be the number one priority at the club. If we're presented with that, why would I say no? Yeah, I'd do that. What about you, Savva? Would you take that?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think we've got to get to that stage where we stop worrying about what Arsenal are doing. I truly think that we learned all this last year with the whole, let's lose to City. Not everyone, but let's lose to City so that Arsenal don't win a title. Look, unfortunately, in the last 30, 40 years, how many titles you've seen Arsenal win, right? It's not new. If Arsenal were to win it, at least I'd love to be able to rebuttal and say, well, yeah, we won a Europa League. My ideal would be that we win the Europa League and they don't win the league. But hey, that's not the question. Big up to absolutely everybody inside. Let's get to the next question. Thank you very much for that, Marios. Really appreciate that. Nordic Spur with an interesting one said, I'm a Norwegian, not really a fan of Sorloth, but should we go for him? Part of me thinks it would work. Now, of course, Alexander Sorloth had a really good year last year for, I'll quickly get there, Richard, for Villarreal, and then got signed by Roma this season. Big, strong, powerful. If you could take Sorloth, would you take him, or are you happy to stick with Dominic Solanke?
I think if we're going to sign a striker, I want a proven, recognised goal scorer. I don't want to take any more chances, any more stats, any more. But look at him in 2022. I just want us to start buying players that we all know that are going to come to the club and are going to deliver from day one, especially the striker position. Especially the striker position.
Sorry. Yes. Sorloth. I was thinking of Dovbyk. Yeah, Sorloth. Yeah, he's at Atleti. Apologies. Yes. Yeah, look, I agree with you. I think now what I want to see a striker that can offer a bit more. I don't want a striker anymore still that's just a big target man that holds the ball up. I like a Julian Alvarez type, I wanted Santiago Jimenez that's just gone to AC Milan. I want somebody with some quick footwork and somebody that can fashion something out of nothing. But that's just me. But look,
I agree.
Good question. Very different, very random. Like it. I really like it. Big up for, Marios again. I've just done these in order. would you swap Romero for Konate? I mean, can I go first on this one, Stel? Konate of Liverpool over Romero all day, every day, and on a month for Sundays. Yeah, Konate's an absolute beast of a centre-half. Everyone knows, listen, you saw my video this morning, Marios, about Romero. I'm not enamored like everyone else is. I think he's always unavailable. He's been available for 61% of games in 4 years, which isn't good enough. I think he makes a lot of mistakes. I think he's a good player, but for some reason he gets talked about like he's out of Ireland or Vertonghen. So absolutely, I would take Konate over Romero.
In current form, yeah, you'd have to take Konate. I actually think Konate's been in really good form as well. He's very calm, isn't he? He's a calm, composed centre-half, which is... He's a bit below the radar, you know, because he looks like he might be clumsy because of his body shape. He looks a bit too top-heavy. Emil Heskey kind of looked like that, but he's actually very, very good. He's been very good, so... Based on this season, yeah, I'd take Konate over Romero. Yeah, I would.
Yeah, I absolutely would. Yeah, great question. Let me go to the next one. We've got a few lined up. Stewie Spurs has said, not Spurs related, but seeing that Villa VAR offside was ridiculous. I think the rules are needed. Then you should just go with the decision. What do you think? It ruins the special feeling of a goal. Stel, have you seen the offside that this guy is talking about from last night?
Yeah.
For me, I don't know where football's gone. For me, when you look at that as a goal, forget that it was Villa, whoever it was. I think as a striker, I'm absolutely pissed that is not given. I thought it was. I think we've got so precise with it still that the whole give the striker the benefit of the doubt has gone out the window. I think it's ruining football. What do you think?
During Ipswich versus Spurs, the Ipswich defender wasn't even looking at the ball, comes across and slams into the Spurs player, knocks him to the ground, and the referee says no penalty. It was a penalty, mate. It was a clear penalty all day long. VAR looked at it and said, yeah, ref, you don't need to go to the monitor.
Yeah.
I think... I couldn't. But I was on the watch along, and I was saying, how have we not been given a penalty? How is no one in the Spurs team going nuts over that? And I just think VAR in general. You know, if you look at the data, more correct decisions are being made since VAR has come in, so it is improving the game. But what's happened is now that you've got the technology, when you get it wrong, it's just all hell breaks loose. Everyone's going ballistic. You know, you can see it right in front of you, and you're not giving the right decision. And the way it's been implemented, from what I've read, they don't have these problems in Europe, Savva. It's just in this country we're having all these problems. I don't understand what we're doing so wrong. Right? In the UK, we've got it badly wrong somehow. We've got it. The way we've what's the word? Not the execution. The way it's being. The way it's being used isn't the same as abroad. The application, that's right. The application of VAR in the UK is just making fans just turn against it.
Do you know what I don't get? It's almost like now we're trying to disallow goals. It's like it's not enough that they're going, right, was he offside? They'll go, right, we've cleared that. Now let's go back 10 seconds. Was when the midfielder won the ball, was that a foul? Was there an offside? Did the ball go out of play? It's like, why are we trying to disallow every single goal? It's too much. And like yesterday, it must have taken them about 3.5 minutes to say that Ollie Watkins was offside. And I thought to myself, 3.5 minutes of players just sitting around again.
And it's fans that sit in the stadium who can't even cheer properly because they don't know if it's a goal. You've got players that want to celebrate, that look over their shoulder. Has this gone to VAR? Okay, I better not celebrate. I better wait and see. And then 3 minutes later, you've got both teams on the halfway line, and then it's almost like a fake celebration. So
yeah. It's taken away celebrating, isn't it? Strikers go mad, they lose their mind, and then they're going, oh, hang on. And then if the screen goes off again, they then go, yeah. and you're like, oh, it's done. The moment's gone. Yeah, I hate VAR. Absolutely hate it. I get that there's going to be mistakes, but football survived and existed for years without it. But listen, good question.
The thing is, I like it when it's used properly. Like in the Euros, we got that 3D animation of the offside. You know, you got those cartoon kind of animation of the striker and defender and the line. You think, okay, yes, offside. A bit like goal line technology. We get an instant ball on the line. Yep, it's not a goal. It needs to be like that. If it's not like that, then everyone just gets pissed off and everyone's just not happy with it, moaning. And then social media just amplifies the noise even more. They need to make it on point and quick. It needs to be refined. But in Europe, we don't have these problems. They don't have these issues, Savva. It's here.
Yeah. but I mean, Terry, when you're saying offside is offside 1 millimeter or 1 foot, but the problem is how precise do we want to go with this? Like, if you looked at that goal yesterday that Villa scored, I mean, you know, how does a striker arc his run? That's gone now. Still, that you'll know from coaching, that's gone. The art of coaching strikers to arc their run behind the foot, that's gone. It's gone. They can't. They've got to be upright. They can't have any part of their body. And this was the thing. When it used to be the feet, that had to be offside, you could arc. You could be on your toes and gone. Imagine Michael Owen playing now, who made a living off of that kind of run off the centre half. He's offside every 30 seconds. It's just it's too much for me.
This is the problem with VAR. They asked the Premier League clubs whether to suspend it or stop it last season. Okay. And 17 out of 20 Premier League clubs, something like that, or the majority of clubs voted no, keep VAR.
Yeah.
Why are they asking the clubs? They need to ask fans. Because if the fans were to vote, I think VAR would get scrapped.
No, I agree. I completely agree. Let's move on from the VAR. It's a shorter show today, so let's get more. Would you have signed Messi for Spurs if it meant David Ginola signing for Arsenal instead and becoming a Gooner legend?
Yes.
I mean, look, David Ginola is my favourite player of all time, but Lionel Messi for me is the greatest player of all time. I would have given my right hand to have had Lionel Messi for a season in a Spurs shirt. So David Ginola, maybe this means he never comes on my show now. Not that he was ever going to come on it before, but yes, for me, I think I said last week that Lionel Messi for me is the greatest. So yes. Frankie Kiernan. So question, what's both of your guys' opinion on Tel? How long does he have to impress? And would you sign him if the option was there today? So Stel, you can go first. Two very different questions there on Tel. So
I'm going to be careful what I say because fans had an absolute meltdown, hissy fit, social society breakdown on my channel because I put a post out saying Mathys Tel is not a striker. And all the replies, you've written him off. He's not crap. Typical Stel telling us that players are shit. And I sat there thinking, I never said he's crap. I never wrote him off. I never said he's shit. Listen to what I said. He's not a striker. We signed him to play in the striker role. He's playing as the striker. He's not a striker. I've watched his movement. I've watched his touch. For me, he's not a striker. I think that part of me thought maybe he's a number 10, but then physically he gets pushed off the ball too easily. I think he's a left or right-sided inside forward. That's where I think he needs to play. So to answer your question, what do I think of him? I think he's been played out of position and he's not a striker. Would I keep him as it stands? No, I wouldn't because we've signed Odebert. Apparently, Son's getting a new contract. You've got Mikey Moore. If you're going to sign him, then shut down the academy because the academy kids are never going to play for this club. Just shut down the academy and stop all this project youth. Our kids are the best. They're generational. Stop all this nonsense, all this rubbish that I hear because on the one hand, fans want the academy kids to play, but then you want to sign a player to play in the position where we've got a really good academy player. I'd rather develop Mikey Moore and give him a chance than spend 50, 60 million on Mathys Tel. I've seen nothing from Mathys Tel to think, wow, yeah. Do I think he's rubbish? No. I think his touches on the ball at times in close confined areas are quite tidy. And I think his energy levels are high. I also think that he can score goals. I just don't think he's a striker. So would I pay 60 million for him? No, never. Do I think he's rubbish? No. My overall opinion is he's not a striker, and we're playing him as a striker, Savva. So I don't really know what to make of him at the moment.
It's simple for me. Is Tel a player right now? I would say no. In 2 to 3 years, 4 years, when he's fully developed and become and he's not a teenager anymore, he could be great. But still, you know me, I apply that to every teenager. At 18, 19, whenever I hear this one's the real deal, I will see. Look, for me, I'm looking at 50 million? Not for me. I think if you've got proper scouts, you can go and buy a much better footballer than Tel for 50 million. And I think what you said there with the academy, if I've got people like Mikey Moore coming through and I've got Tel, I'm looking at it and going, well, what are we doing here? Are we going to bring through this kid who costs us nothing? Or are we going to spend 50 quid and block his pathway by bringing in Tel? You've also brought Yang to the football club as well. You've got Odegaard at the football club.
Yang, that's another one, Savva. It's another player.
Yeah.
And everyone said Yang's brilliant. Look at him at QPR. Look at the videos. Right, so you're going to play Mikey Moore there, Odegaard there, Yang there, and let's sign Mathys Tel to also play it. It doesn't make sense. This is why Spurs fail every single season. Our approach to squad building is literally scattergun. Just throw things out there and see what lands. There's no strategic plan. If we sign Tel long term, having brought through Moore, signed Odegaard, signed Yang, it makes no strategic sense. None. It's literally pissing money down the drain yet again.
Mm. Yeah, look. I think when people don't get it. Like people like this don't get it, right? People like this, they don't get it. Yeah, it's only been 3 or 4 games. Lurs, the problem is we're talking about, do we want 50 million of our transfer kitty to go on this player? I just don't believe that from what I'm seeing. Look, for me, he's 19. He's 19. Do we need to buy more 19-year-olds? I'm getting so bored of buying 19-year-olds, if I'm brutally honest. That's just me.
You could flip this and say, but it's been 3 games and you're jumping on the hype train. You're getting ahead of yourself, but it's only been 3 games. Come, you can flip it the other way. So it doesn't make any sense to me.
No, absolutely.
Angus, where were you the other night when West Ham beat you? I was waiting for you on the show, and you, Mr. Postman, Stefan, everyone seemed to disappear from my show. I was waiting for you guys. Where were you?
Yeah. Let's get to the next question. I'll try and rattle through a few of these. For sure. I mean, Binny guy, look, if Cunha becomes available, he's going to one of the big boys. I'm sorry, he is. He's going to one of the big boys. What we need to do is we need to buy a Cunha before he becomes the Cunha we know, if that makes sense. But that's what we're not very good with it. Look, let's get to the next question. Ryan McFarlane, which manager's football bores you more, Ange, Jose, or Conte? I'll let Stel go first on this one.
It depends how you're entertained, right? It depends how you're entertained. So when we played low block counter-attacking football and it worked, I loved watching Conte ball. Mourinho, for all the criticism, we scored a lot of goals, man. He got the best out of Kane and Son. Gareth Bale scored 16 goals under him. And when we pass out from the back and it works, and we're quick and fluid with our passing, we look really good as well. What I would say is none of them were consistent. Especially Ange. So, Savva, I haven't got a clue, man. I really haven't got a clue.
I'll be honest. I think it's difficult to answer because they've all got. And by the way, please smash the likes, people. We should be well over 150 by now. They've all got very different squads. For me, I find Ange's horseshoe football so boring. Like people go, "Oh my god, we dominated today," and I'm like, "What? 70% possession." And about 300 of the 600 passes we had today were between Gray and Danso at the back. That doesn't interest me. I don't like that. If you're going to pass it, if you're going to do a lot of passes, pass and move, keep it short, try and work angles, not just passing across the midfield and the back for the sake of it. Listen, I don't like Conte's style. I think everyone knows that. But again, I would look at the players Conte had. And Jose, I think Jose's had this stigma everywhere he's gone that he's a boring coach. He broke records of goals in Real Madrid and at Chelsea, so he does something right. But Ange, I'll say Ange. I don't enjoy his style of football. I feel that whenever we play better under Ange, it's when we don't play Ange ball, so to speak. Let's have a look. Ethan Bates, big up to you, Ethan. I said, what is the plan for our academy players when the pathway is being blocked by both senior and young players bought for fees? We don't seem to sell academy prospects either, like Chelsea or City. I mean, that's definitely one for you, Stel, because of your connection with youth football. It's a great question.
We don't have a pathway. I tried to say this last year, but I've just stopped talking about it because the abuse and hate is ridiculous. If you listen to, the Ali Golds or the Lily White Roses, the ones that are so-called in touch with the club and the academy, if you listen to any Spurs main Twitter account or YouTube channels, Project Youth, the kids, the academy, blah, 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 blah. I said at the start of the season, and I'll repeat, I spoke to the academy director. He told me the academy players will not be coming through this season. He said this to me. Look at the youngsters we're using. Kinski, we signed him. Odebert, we signed him. Archie Gray, we signed him. Bergvall, we signed him. Name me youngsters we've used consistently this season that's come through the academy. Mikey Moore, very, very rarely. Austin, he came in and within 2 games, we replaced him with a signing, Kinski. That's it. Will Lancashire has not really, he's had no chance in the Premier League. Donnelly got 15, 20 minutes against Southampton, then we moved him on. Odilesi came on against a Europa Cup team, scored a goal.
Yeah. Yeah,
right.
he came on, Odilesi came on against Hoffenheim, didn't he, I think?
No. Hoffen, it was the last game we played at home.
Oh, are you thinking of Ajayi who came on and
Ajayi, beg your pardon.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he's not been seen since that game, has he? He's not been seen in the squad.
Not at all.
Yeah.
You've got 2 strikers at the club who are academy players, Dane Scarlett and Will Lancashire. Richarlison's injured. Solanke's injured. Right. Play Lancashire. Play Scarlett. Nope. You bring in Mathys Tel on loan, hasn't scored a single Premier League goal. What is the difference between Mathys Tel and giving one of the youngsters a chance? I'll tell you what the difference is. There is no plan to bring the youngsters through this season. I said at the start of the year, oh, Stel, you think you know it all. Oh, Stel, yeah, you work for Spurs, blah, blah, blah. No, I spoke to the guy that runs it. He told me, and I even said to him, so what is the plan? And he said, we don't think they're good enough. That's what he said. He goes, we don't think they're good enough. He goes, sorry, Ange doesn't think they're good enough. The academy director said, he's not sure they're good enough. The coaches that coach them think they are. So there's a disagreement there. What they do agree on is the 16s and below, especially the 14s, they think there's an excellent crop coming through there. Now, whether they're still the same at 18, 19, we'll find out. But their vision is in 3-4 years' time, maybe 3 years. In 3 years' time, that's when you're going to see some youngsters come through if they stick to having a manager that plays attacking football, which matches the philosophy of the academy. So to answer your question, mate, there is no pathway at the moment. It's absolute bollocks. And I said this at the start of the season. I did try and say this, but I'm not an ITK, so it doesn't matter what I say. There you go.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think you're spot on. The difference for me between bringing Tel on and giving him a game rather than saying, hey, right, we're not going to do that. We're going to play Mikey Moore in all those games or Lancashire in all those games or Scarlett in those games is one is perceived as a big signing from a big club abroad, even though he's 19. The other is perceived as a young kid from our academy. And that's a real crying shame because right now, instead of seeing Tel, I'm not saying Tel won't do anything, but instead of seeing Tel, I would have rather have seen Lancashire being given a few games up front, if that's what you want to do. But hey, it is what it is.
Savva, But Brandon Austin got man of the match against Newcastle, and we lost. Right, just let that sink in. We lost, and our goalie got man of the match. What did we do? We went and signed Kinski for the next game. That's all you need to know, Spurs fans. That's all you need to know about the pathway. There's nothing, it's as simple as that.
Yeah, big up. And just quickly, thank you very much to my mate Chris. Lots of hearts and loves for Frank. Yeah, thank you very much. Really, thank you very much. Really appreciate that, Chris. Thank you, mate. I think obviously we speak outside of YouTube, and I think you know how much Frank meant to me. So yeah, really tough few days, but thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, mate. Let's get to the next questions. Alexander, mate, I could say it's Wednesday. You tell me it's Tuesday. You're just that sort of person. Ange is not that bad with goals. I didn't say Ange was that bad with goals. Second most goals scored in the league while sitting 13th. We've also played one game less. When you say it can't be that boring, well, we're sitting in 13th. You've answered the question for yourself. We're sitting 13th. We concede a shed load of goals. And no matter what people want to say about Conte and Jose, their teams, to the best of my knowledge still, I don't remember Jose or Conte having us 13th, 15th, 16th in the league. I never remember them being that bad. So, yes, Ange does grab some goals. I'm not doubting that. But those managers also managed to keep them out at the other end by hook or crook. So, he's just one of these. Whatever I say, the opposite will apply. You must have those people in your chat still. Like
I'm done with the Ange defenders. I'm done. I've made my point so clear on Ange. I've made my point so clear on Levy. I've made my point so clear on some of our signings. It's just I'm just going to repeat what I've said the last 4 weeks of Q&A with you. It's pointless.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Angus. Yeah, the new pup. He's a week sooner than we were expecting to have him. The idea was to transition with Frank still here so that Stewie had a mate, and then it sort of all happened very fast. Yeah, the new pup is called Stanley, and he's a bloody little terror. He's keeping me on my toes, so don't worry about that, Angus. Big up. Did I answer? I haven't yet. No. So feel free to put it in here and I'll answer it. Let's get to the next question. Says, it's my face has said, if you would have to sell one and keep the other, who would you sell, Romero or VDV? You would get 10 to 20 million more for VDV. Let's rattle through these now, Stel. But what are you thinking here? Who, if you had to?
Romero. I'd sell Romero.
Sell Romero.
Yeah, I'd sell Romero because Van der Ven's younger. He's got more upward development. I think as an athlete, Van der Ven's better. I also think going forward, he's a menace. He scores goals. He creates goals. He's better on the recovery. Romero, listen, I know you don't rate him too highly. I think Romero. I personally think Romero is a good defender. I think Ange has decimated all our defenders. I think he's ruined them. I think the way we play doesn't suit a lot of our defenders as well. But based on age, and you know what? They both miss as much of the season as each other now. So I can't even say, but Van der Ven's always injured. So's Romero. I think based on age and what upward development is available, I'd keep Van der Ven.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Listen, I mean, I think the difficulty I have answering a question like this is I would sell both. I know that sounds awful. So I would because I don't believe. I know people won't listen when I say this. I don't believe you can build a team around two centre backs that miss more games than they play. For me, I want us to be a club where we go, that's our two centre halves. They play each week. Now, yeah, I know you can't stop an injury happening, but these two are always missing. Always missing. And I've said I'd keep Danso in there for the rest of the season. I wouldn't drop Danso. He's a steady, solid defender that does a job still, you know? He's not flashy. You know, he's not going to bring the ball out and do what Van de Ven does, rip roaring up the pitch, or he's not got the pace. But I feel like he just gives you a solid 7 out of 10 every game. I'd keep Danso in there. It's just my opinion. But I'd sell them both.
Yeah, Danzo's been the only signing that's made sense for me. I don't understand why we signed Kinski when we had Brandon Austin and Vicario was coming back. I don't know why we signed Mathys Tel as striker when we had 2 academy players as striker, and Mathys Tel isn't a striker for me. Danzo, I totally got. We needed something experienced at the back. Dragusin's out. Davies is on and off. Romero and Van de Ven are out. It made sense signing Danzo. He's actually done really well. He's a transfer I totally get at the moment. It makes complete sense. His only weakness is sometimes he rushes his passes out the back and gives away possession. And sometimes he steps out when he doesn't need to. But listen, I'm being picky now. I'm just picking on minor things. Overall, he's been a solid signing for us. He has.
I wouldn't doubt it if it was this, by the way. Big up, Philly, my brother from another mother. I wouldn't doubt it if it was this, Stel.
Probably.
Spurs work in these ways. Spurs, you can almost see what Spurs will do. We'll sell Romero for 70-odd million in the summer, right? Danso's going to end up costing, 20, 25 all in, right? And then Spurs will go, right, Danso's our number 1 centre-half alongside Van de Ven, and Vuskovic will come in and be the backup. This is Spurs. This is what we do.
We did the same with Richarlison. We wasted a shitload of money on Richarlison, and some of us were saying he's the Kane replacement, and people saying, no, Kane's going to stay. Kane wants to break the record. Kane loves the club. And I sat there going, what planet are you lot fucking on? What planet are you lot? Kane's gone. And then when he left, everyone's, well, if he doesn't want to be here, then get rid of him. And we only want players that want to be here. I said, but I thought he loved the club and he wants to break the record. We bought Richarlison because they knew Kane wasn't going to sign a new deal and they had to sell him. We probably have bought Danzo because they know Romero's told them, listen, I'm off. Unless we win the Europa and get Champions League, I think he's off. That might persuade him to stay. But yeah, Savva, it makes sense. Danzo for Romero makes sense. Spurs probably already know these things.
It truly does. By the way, all these people in the chat having these stats about goals from Conte and Jose. And listen, we could do this game all day long. All I know is that neither of those 2 managers that had a worse squad than Ange, right, had us in the bottom half. I don't remember Conte and Jose having us in the bottom half of a table. So people may have not liked their football. I wasn't the biggest Conte fan, but that goes to show that that's how bad this manager is.
I don't know. I don't remember Conte or Mourinho being 2 minutes away from being knocked out by Tamworth.
Yeah.
Right. That Tamworth game was unforgivable, man. That was unbelievably bad.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Next one. What do you think the top 7 will look like and who will qualify for the European places at the end of the season? Can I just go for some obvious ones, Stel? Do we both agree that Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City are definitely in that top 4? Is where I'm going to go with, right? Okay. Yeah. Then I'll tell you what, let's bring up the Premier League table. Let's remove that question. Let's bring up the Premier League table. You can actually see it's very tight up there. It's very tight. No one seems to have put a run together at all this season. I don't think Forest will. I really don't. Forest, the wheels are starting to come off. They've lost 3 of their last 4. I think Chelsea, by hook or crook, will be there. I think Man City will. And then I think Europe's going to be, but I think it might be the ones that are there now. The caveat to all of this, Stel, for me is depending on when Villa get knocked out of the Champions League. I think the deeper they go in the Champions League, I think the less chance they have of finishing in Europe via the league, if that makes sense.
Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City for me are definitely going to be in the top 7. I think Nottingham Forest will stay there. I do. I think they will do it. I think actually Nottingham Forest might beat Arsenal tonight. I think they might beat Arsenal tonight. So I think Forest will be there. Newcastle will be there. So that's 1, 2, 3. So the current top 6, I think they all get into Europe. and then it's between Bournemouth, Brighton, Fulham, and Villa, and God knows out of them lot. I've got no idea.
There's a lot there. I mean, but look, just quickly while we're there, still
people that say Spurs might get 8th and all that. I don't believe. I don't think Spurs will break into that.
Well, I think to have any chance of that, still, we have to win tonight, because
if
we don't win tonight, we're 10 points off 8th with 11 games to go. And
Savva, can we also say Crystal Palace are beginning to get things going as well? You know that Crystal Palace aren't. Glasner's finally got things running over there.
Give me Glasner. Give me Glasner. Imagine Glasner with our players.
Yeah.
Right, in this formation. And do you know that if I'm not wrong, somebody might tell me I'm wrong here. I'm pretty sure that Crystal Palace have the 4th best defence in the Premier League behind. Let me just double check this. Crystal Palace have the 4th best defence behind Bournemouth, Arsenal, and Liverpool.
There you go.
Sorry, Palace. And they've just lost. If I'm not wrong. They lost Anderson in the summer. Guehi will probably end up going. They lost Chalobah because Chelsea recalled Chalobah. And look how well they're doing. See what happens when you've got a coach that can actually coach. It's absolutely madness.
I remember at the start of the season when we said we were hyping up Glasner, and then Crystal Palace got off to a really bad start. And like people normally do, they just knee-jerk react rather than just letting things pan out and see where it goes. You two are idiots. Talk to me about Glasner now. You're in the mud. Really?
Mate, I think he does a wonderful job. He plays the formation I like. He's got the best. He gets the best out of his striker. He gets the best out of his wing backs. I really like Glasner.
Mate, they lost Anderson. They lost Elise. Eze's been injured most of the season, right? And we're talking about a squad that isn't at the levels of a Spurs.
Yeah,
they've done well. And let's be honest. We went to Crystal Palace with a fully fit squad, and they ruined us 1-0. It was as Ian put it. It was a 1-0 battering. So.
Yeah,
he's good. He's a top manager. Yeah. Glasner's a top manager.
Alex, you're just saying stupid shit now. Alex, when Spurs went to Crystal Palace, I hate to break it to you, it was like the 9th or 10th game of the season, and Crystal Palace hadn't won a game of football yet. Right? Spurs went there, kick-started it all. So, I mean, if we're going to find comfort in the fact that Villa went there and got battered, I mean, I feel that shows how far we've actually fallen. By the way, yeah, Mateta is flying 11 million euros, by the way, Mateta. 11 million euros. Just putting that out there, people. I listen, BVB Sports, I think Glasner's a really good manager. I listen, there's so many I would take. There's so many. Where are we? Who's this? Paul O'Keefe. I'm guessing it's not the Paul O'Keefe that has said, question, you both rate Pep as the best manager in the EPL and Ange is the worst ever. How do you explain that Ange has a chance to do the treble over Pep with a win tonight? God, Stel, do you want to take this? This is you know when you think somebody's been brought up really badly and is a dickhead. There you go. I'll say it. This person is a dickhead. There you go.
Well, first of all, I never said Ange is the worst ever. I never said that. So Savva can explain that one, right? Because you put my name in that as well. Fake O'Keefe account. Right. So that's the first thing. Secondly, why don't you wait and see what tonight's result is before you start jizzing? You're literally ejaculating before she's even said yes to go into the bedroom with you. It makes no sense what you're doing.
Yeah.
If we do beat Man City tonight, that puts us in 12th. Pep is 4th. Pep is in the next stages of the FA Cup. Pep is doing better than Ange with his worst ever season we've ever seen at Man City in about 15 years. So do I think Ange is better than Pep? No, man. Like, what are we doing here? Like, we're talking about a manager that won 4 Premier League titles in a row, won the Champions League, won the treble with Barcelona, which has never been done before. Sorry, the double with Barcelona. He's won that double at Bayern Munich. This is a manager that only the best clubs in the world want because he's the best of the best. Why didn't Bayern Munich call up and say, Ange, we've got a job? And instead they gave it to Vincent Kompany. Why don't Man City give the job to Ange next when Pep leaves? Why didn't Ange get the job at Man United when Amrim got the job? Why isn't he at Real Madrid or Barcelona? Ask yourself the question, why does Pep get the best jobs in world football and Ange has spent 3 decades in lower league football until now? But hey, it's all agenda driven. We just, I hate Ange. Yes. Okay. Yes. You tell yourself that. Pat yourself on the back.
Yeah, listen, I just think, and what I've said is I think he's the worst tactical manager I've ever seen. I think it's too kind to say that he's got tactics. I think he's absolutely horrendous. Anyone I know who's a coach, anyone I know who works full-time in coaching says to me as well, like, look at the way your team is set out. You're going to win games because you've got better players than some clubs, but you're going to lose a lot of games because there's no cohesion. It's not, Stel, you say this all the time, it is not a drilled football team. It is not a well-drilled team.
Defensively, we're not coached, Savva.
I can see it.
We're not coached defensively. No, we maybe on the training pitch, we spend 10, 15, 20% of the time defending. The other 80% is keep the ball, pass, get the ball forward, score goals. Yeah. The neglect towards the defensive side of the game by this manager is why we're in this mess. It's a big reason why we're in this. Guys, we were split wide open against Ipswich. For the first 20 minutes, they split us wide open. They're getting relegated. Like, they're literally going down. Man United split us open and they're rubbish. If Man United had one person that could score, we wouldn't have beaten them the other day. That would have been a draw. That would have been a score draw. But we get away with it a lot.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely, for sure. We get away with loads. But I think we're in this era of football fans now where, Ange beats Pep. Ange is better manager. Okay, so Kieran McKenna beat Ange at White Hart Lane. If I had said to people, have Kieran McKenna now, do you know what I mean? Like, I just don't get it. It's so it's like the my dad's bigger than your dad type thing, isn't it? It's just such stupidity from idiots. Next question. By the way, sorry, that comment there. Yes, if anyone has not seen this guy play for Bilbao, this guy is a gem. This guy is a proper player, and he goes under the radar for me, Lord Rodney Trotter. He goes way under the radar, and anyone who plays Bilbao will see how good he is. Next question.
13 goals from centre mid.
Let's have a look. Let's double check. I don't know the exact stats. Let's have a look.
No, sorry, does he play centre mid?
Yes. He's got 13 goals from 21 La Liga appearances. 2 goals in the Copa del Rey this season, and he's got 1 goal and 3 assists in the Europa League. So talking of Europa League, let's get a new question. Something to do with the Europa League. Actually,
that's good. That's a good return for any centre mid.
Oh, he's a very good footballer. Players like him. If anyone hasn't seen Buena, yeah. If anyone hasn't seen Buena, I've just seen Didier Drogba come out and defend Jose Mourinho, calling him dad. And they said, how can my dad be a racist? Come on, guys. Love that.
Do you know what? That racial abuse thing that Galatasaray are throwing at Mourinho is actually disgusting. Mourinho did nothing wrong. If you go back and watch it, this is basically Galatasaray fucked off that one of their arch rival club's manager has called them out and called out that game. And rather than responding to the actual events of the game and the referee, it's all about the refereeing decisions. This all happened. Rather than responding to that, They've made it personal and said, right, let's try and ruin Mourinho. I hope Mourinho destroys Galatasaray for that, because I hate when people play the racist card when it's not racist. It winds me up, because what happens then is when you actually get racism, it doesn't get dealt with because it's the boy that cried wolf, Savva. Play the race card, play the race card, play the race card. When you do get racism, we're not going to listen to you because you're full of shit. When it actually does happen. So people should go and watch what happened to Mourinho. It's fucking bang out of order what they're doing to Mourinho. It really is.
I agree. I agree. I completely agree. Look, we've got about only 5 or 6 minutes left, so I'm going to rattle through some questions. Rattle through some. The first one: do you think Ange rates Mikey Moore, and do you?
I think he's a very promising young player. He's got a lot of years ahead of him to develop. He needs to establish himself as a first-team regular in Premier League football, the same way Lewis Skelly, Nyanweri at Arsenal have done. He needs to be doing that before we can really begin to find out what this boy's about. I personally think he's got what it takes to develop into a really good player. Could he become elite, world-class, Gareth Bale, Harry Kane? You never know, people. You never know. A lot of things have to go your way. Lots of game time, injury-free.
Yeah.
He's got to be given the opportunity in the big games to shine. Like Gareth Bale and Kane, they did step up in a lot of big games, especially Gareth Bale. So it's so hard to tell. But I rate him. I rate Mikey Moore, but I'm not getting carried away because he's 17, 18. It's like, what are we doing? Do you think Ange rates him? Yeah, I think he does. But whether he gives him that opportunity the way he should be giving him, I don't know, because he signed Yang, Odebert, Tells here. That only gets that's an obstacle in the way of Mikey Moore developing. So if you rated Mikey Moore that much, would he have signed these players? I don't know. You know, it's a difficult one to understand. A lot of things at Spurs don't make sense. I think Mikey Moore though he's got the foundations to go far.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he looks like a good young player, but like any good young player who's at the age of 17, 18, I think everyone's lost their mind just a little bit too much. We'll see how good he is, right? There's been many games I've watched him play and I've seen nothing from him. Then I have to remind myself he is a 17-year-old kid playing in the Premier League. So I think it needs time and we'll see. But I do take Stel's point. If they rated him that highly, why have we signed Odebert? Why have we signed Yang? Are you going to go and maybe sign Tel? All of these people that potentially block the pathway. So we will see. So we've got 2 minutes. Let's see if I can get questions. Nice, easy one. What are your fullbacks for tonight if everyone is fit to play? Big question this, Stel. Porro, Udogie and Spence all fit. Who plays?
Porro and Spence. I thought Udogie was at fault for Ipswich's goal. He had to shuffle across to cover the centre-back that moved, and he just froze, fell asleep, didn't read the play, and allowed the shot to get away. He did the same thing against Brighton. For me, Udogie hasn't had a good season. I would play Porro and Spence. I also think Porro and Spence are better going forward, which is the way Ange likes to play. So I would go, I would go Porro and Spence.
Yeah, I think he'll go Porro and Spence. I would go Porro and Spence. I'll be honest, again, Udogie, I'm not sold. I keep hearing everyone going, he's one of the best left backs in the league. I don't think defensively he's clued up. And unfortunately, I don't think he's got a coach that's training him, developing him as a fullback. That may sound harsh, but I think if he had a better manager that can coach, I think you'd have seen him develop by now. I don't think he's developed one bit since he's been here. So Spence and Porro is my answer as well. Last question. Last question. Which one shall I go to? There's quite a few. Here we go. Let's go with Shirley, the Tottenham tea lady. Love it. Big up, Shirley. Has said, oi, Savva. I really hope that the Tottenham tea lady does talk to people like that. Oi, Savva, where do you rank Ginola, my darling boy, among Tottenham's greatest wingers? I mean, it's kind of, you're asking me when you know he's my favourite Spurs player. In my era of watching Spurs, I would say there's only really been 3 wingers that really get me off my seat. and that is Gareth Bale, Chris Waddle, and David Ginola. If I've missed anyone, someone can let me know, but they're the three for me where I think stand out well above the rest. And what I'd give to have any one of them on our wing right now. Stel, have I missed anyone glaringly obvious there?
No, they were the three I was going to pick. I would actually put Bale as number one, and then I'll probably put Chris Waddle as second, then Ginola.
This will be Stel's last week on the show. For that comment,
Bye, everyone.
Listen, I think back in the day, though, used to have Chris Waddle. I've never seen a player drop their shoulder and send. He used to send defenders into another postcode. He dropped his shoulder and he was gone. Like, he wasn't the quickest player, Chris Waddle.
The thing is, Waddle. He did it at Marseille. He did it at Spurs. He did it for England. Ginola did it for Newcastle as well. I don't know if he did it for France. I don't know. I can't remember.
Well, this is the problem with the whole Ginola thing, isn't it? He did it at PSG, did it at Newcastle, did it at Spurs. Barcelona tried to buy him. Keegan said no because they just sold Andy Cole, and he said, I can't sell both of you. And then the whole France thing was he was scapegoated, wasn't he, for France not qualifying, and then he didn't play under Gerard Houllier. Blah, blah, blah. But anyway, that's my boy. Don't get me all upset. That's my boy. Look, put it this way. For anyone young enough that hasn't seen Ginola play, what I would give to have David Ginola in this Tottenham team now. He would be by far the greatest player at the football club. Stel, I am going to leave it there. Thank you very much for joining. I always enjoy these quick shows to answer lots of questions. Just a tiny bit before my time. Just a tiny bit before my time, if I'm brutally honest, Jason.
Right, I can't vouch for this player, but my granddad told me there was a Welsh winger that used to be at the club, Cliff Jones. Apparently, he was the absolute dog's bollocks. Cliff Jones, from what I've been told from the veterans, was he was the real deal. Cliff Jones. That's what I was told, but I never saw him play. So, but if anyone knows Cliff Jones, apparently he was the one.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, girls, I'm going to leave it there. Stel, thank you very much. Guys, I'm going to now transfer you all over to my watch along. So just come over there and join me. And the Tottenham team will be out in the next 15 minutes. So join me over there. Stel, take care. I'll see you next week. And I hope you feel better soon.
Yeah, have a good one, everyone. Up the Spurs.
Take care, everyone. See you later. Bye-bye.